Darth Vader was the iron fist of the Empire that brought Palpatine's justice across the galaxy. But what would happen if Vader actually managed to become Emperor?
Kill him, what will?
Not us. Run!
Now, Vader was possibly Sidious's most loyal pawn, however it's easy to mistake him for Palpatine's successor. Vader was after all more of a tool than anything else, and was used by Palpatine to further his own cause. In fact, majority of the military governors or Moffs actually held a significant distaste for Vader.
Your sad devotion to that ancient religion has not helped you conjure up the stolen data tapes, or given you clairvoyance enough to find the rebels' hidden fort.
You see, although Imperial Command understood Vader was a very useful weapon against Jedi, by the time the Empire was in its prime, the Jedi were believed to be all but wiped out, and therefore they saw no reason for a relic from the Clone Wars like Vader to hold such a prominent position in the chain of command. But anyways, this is about Vader becoming Emperor, so let's get on with it. Okay, so we'll say Palpatine dies fairly early on during his rule, possibly a few years after the founding of the Empire. Now, I think it's important that it happens early on, as not only does it allow Vader to make some big changes to the timeline, but also it's these key years where the Jedi Purge was still in full swing, so the Empire still feared the return of the Jedi at this point. Now, immediately after Palpatine's death, if Vader wanted to take his place, then it would be very difficult, mainly because of the Council of Moffs, as they will be infighting for control. After all, they control the military and pretty much all of Imperial infrastructure, and as I said, Vader doesn't really impress them that much. So Vader's going to have to make some pretty impressive power plays, but it's definitely not impossible to do. Let's say Vader's able to get some branches of the military to secretly follow him against the Moffs. At this point they'd be fighting amongst themselves and would be severely weakened. As well as this, Vader could possibly get the Inquisitors to support him, as they'd definitely be fascinated by what he could teach them, so he has some elite warriors and a small group of support in the military. However, Vader would inevitably have to kill the Council of Moffs. This includes Tarkin and all the others, and this would likely be very difficult. As well as this, he'd then be faced with a monumental task of unifying the rest of the Imperial military behind him, even after he's just butchered their leadership. However, after all that, he'd likely be able to lay claim to the title of Emperor. Now, Vader as an Emperor, sorry for all you hardcore Vader fans, would likely be terrible. Vader is a devout follower of the Force, and would likely sink far more resources into the likes of the Inquisitors and discovering more resources to make him more powerful, as opposed to the larger projects such as the Death Star and other super weapons. He'd also far rather have an army of Darksaber wielders. Not to mention, Vader isn't originally a Sith, so if he'd actually care about the philosophy of the Rule of Two is questionable, meaning he could have legions of Sith running around the galaxy by the end of his reign, which isn't healthy for anyone involved, Vader least of all. Now, Vader's dedication to the dark side wouldn't be a problem if he was an experienced ruler, but he's not. Palpatine was an accomplished diplomat, senator, and chancellor before he became emperor, but Vader is a warrior. He has little to no understanding in introducing policies, running an economy, or running an empire at all for that matter. And remember, he's already killed off all the military governors who were the ones who were experienced in such matters, meaning no one will be able to run his empire for him whilst he attempts to become more powerful. For this reason, due to Vader being arguably a bad emperor, the galaxy would suffer. My idea about him allowing the existence of more than two Sith, or perhaps allowing the Inquisitors to run rampant, then it would be very, very bad for everyone and have some very serious repercussions. And without anyone to sustain his colossal military, the Empire would quickly begin to fall apart piece by piece. The military would become a logistical nightmare with no one to run it, and Vader would be forced to move from system to system, beating them into shape personally for disobeying him. Needless to say, the idea of a rebellion would spread far quicker, and the senators who would be furious at Vader at this point would definitely fund insurgencies across the galaxy to fight Vader's failing rule, and eventually I believe Vader would be assassinated, either by rebels, his own subordinates, or maybe some upjumped Sith wannabes. Ultimately, I don't see a scenario where an empire under Vader could be successful, and that's sort of the point. I highly doubt Vader would really want to rule the galaxy. In my opinion, what's far more likely to happen if the Emperor did die is that Vader would support someone like Tarkin, who in my opinion would be perfect for ruling the Empire, whilst Vader can become a more and more powerful Sith. But what do you think? Do you think Emperor Vader will be a success or a fallacy? Please put your opinions and scenarios below, as I think this could be pretty interesting as a talking point. Thanks for watching, please like and sub if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time.